Welcome back to Unquiet You. Today we are going to be talking about breaking the mold and why certain things are no longer accepted. A few weeks back, I did a podcast about the black sheep and nice girl versus the kind girl. And this kind of piggybacks off of that, but it was a really good reminder that it is our place to break the mold. It is our place to no longer accept certain behaviors from people in our families and in our lives in general. We've all heard the saying, that's just who they are. Like, we have to accept them for who they are. We have to allow them to be who they are. And that is true in some sense, that people are who they choose to be, and it's not our place to change them or want to stop them from being who they are. But it is our place and our right to be able to say, you're no longer going to disrespect me. That might be who you are, but it's not okay for you to treat me the way that you've treated me. This was brought up to me recently in a personal situation where I was having a conversation and I said to my daughter, well, that's just who they are. And she looked at me and said, but that does not make it okay. And in that moment, I realized that I had fallen back in that same trap, because we don't want to ruffle feathers. We don't want to make people uncomfortable. We don't want to bring up those emotions. Sometimes that can be painful when we're dealing with people that we love. But she was 100% right. It is not okay. And when we decide that it's no longer okay, we take the risk of people not wanting to be around us anymore, people falling off, people kind of moving on, and that is okay. We also take the risk that maybe they do change, and maybe that when they hear how their ways and what they're treating us, like how it makes us feel and where we stand, that sometimes they do want to change and that they do see that their patterns need to be broken. And that's great too, but I always say, if we can walk away holding our feet to the ground and knowing that we spoke our truth, the way they're responding is on them and not on us. This goes along with this is my biggest passion when it comes to building women up, building people in general up, is that we are breaking the mold. We are changing the way things have been accepted in the past, that it is not okay to go sit at a family dinner and feel like everyone's bashing you. And it's not okay for your family to tell you they don't believe in what you're doing. And so then you stop doing what you're doing. There's a whole line of issues that come from this. And it's one of the reasons I believe Thanksgiving is the number one day for DUIs. And it's because so many times we get together with these family members, and whether there's alcohol involved or not, you have the family member who doesn't feel like they're worthy enough because their sibling is doing more than them, or their family is telling them your dreams are silly and you shouldn't go chase that, or you should do what I tell you to do because I'm smarter and I'm more successful, or let me tell you all these stories and these lies that you need to believe to make me feel better about myself. And people leave there, their depression is high, they're sad, they feel like they don't have their family on their side. And we have to stop that mold. Like, it is up to us to put our feet down and say, you can say those kind of things to me, but I do not have to accept it. And I do not have to stand here and allow it to continue. A lot of times we'll see, this happened to me a lot as a child with our extended family. I would see how they would treat my mom and my dad, and it was never okay, but it was almost like it was just accepted. It was accepted that my grandmother gave my mom really crappy Christmas gifts when she bought everyone else like really nice things. And all of this was accepted, but my mom would leave there so sad and upset. And it would always just infuriate me that people were allowed to treat other people this way, and it's accepted because we went by the old saying, that's just who they are, and you just have to accept them. And what I've learned is I will accept them for who they are. I just will not allow the disrespect to play into my personal life, and I will choose to walk away. This is something I see many, many times with clients when they're coming in. They have so many things from their past, or their families don't want them to be a certain way. Their families don't want them to love who they love. Their families don't want them to move away or make decisions that they're making. And they feel less than. They feel like they're disappointing their family. They feel like they have to do what their mom wants them to do, or this is just what we've done in our family for years. It used to come up a lot when I coached real estate agents. You would see these young agents who got into the business because their parents were builders, or that's just what they did in their family. And this happens in a lot of businesses. I think that the kids just naturally gravitate towards whatever their parents are doing because, the parents bought this grocery store and it's for the family. And so you have to stay and run the business. And if you choose not to, then you're letting the family down, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And what happens is you build up so much resentment, and then you get so sad, and you don't ever want to go to your family's house. You don't want to go to the dinners. You don't want to participate in things. And it's all because you're trying to protect someone else's emotion. You're trying to keep someone else safe and feeling like they matter, when the whole time you're showing yourself that you don't matter, that it's okay that you're sitting at a dinner table while people are putting down who you are and what you desire, or telling you stories, manipulate your way of thinking into becoming their way of thinking. And you're just supposed to accept it, and it's supposed to be okay. And this is where, when we decide to put our foot down and we decide to stop this, you totally change the whole game of your family dynamic. And it may mean that some people fall off. This can happen in friendships. It can happen at work. It can happen in relationships, that we are treating people how to treat us. And when you decide that you're worthy enough, and you decide that your dreams matter, your goals matter, just because you're doing something different than your sibling or your cousin or what your family wants you to do, it matters and it's okay, then we step into a whole new power that we've created that is shifting for the next generation. We're showing other people that it is okay to say, you're no longer going to disrespect me. It is okay to say, I love you as this role in my life. However, I'm choosing to walk away because you will no longer disrespect who I am and what I desire. A lot of times when this happens, it's when you go and you dig, it's just generational after generational. It just keeps happening and happening. And so no one is bold enough to break the mold, because when you do break the mold, you are looked at as the black sheep, or, some people like to say it's the lion of the family. Like, you are the person who is changing things. You may shake up family dinners now, or you may not be invited to family dinners. And that's okay too, because you're creating a new dynamic for what works for you. So a lot of times when people first come into coaching, this is one of the first things we have to work on, is figuring out if you can emotionally handle breaking the mold. If you can stand on your own 2 feet and say, the disrespect stops now. You can be who you are and you can show up how you want to be, but you will no longer disrespect who I am and what I want and what I desire. So as I reminded my children, I remind my clients that every single person on this earth has a purpose. We have our own passions. We have our own desires. It doesn't matter what kind of family you were raised in. Every single person in that family has a different desire. They have a different dream. They have a different hope. We have, when you're a child, you want your parents to show up for you and support you. And when you get older, you want your siblings to support you and people to cheer you on. And this is why a lot of times when you start a new business, people get very, very upset, because it's not their family that's supporting them. It's not their closest friends that are supporting them. It's strangers. It's people who see their value and want the best for them. Like, our biggest cheerleaders usually never come from within our own families in the beginning. And there's multiple reasons that happens. It can be because you're doing something that's totally changing the look of the family. It can be because you're doing something that someone wished they had the boldness to do. It could be because you're doing something that they don't believe in. But whatever it is that you're wanting to do, like, you have the worth and you have the power to step into that. And when you can learn to work on your emotions and not the emotions of the other person, that's when you really are able to step into your power and start to create the aligned vision and the aligned goals that you want to make true. So I always tell people, if this is happening to you, if you see yourself dreading going to family events, ask yourself, like, what would it look like and what would it take for you to step into that power and for you to be able to say respectfully to people, you will no longer disrespect me. You get to be who you are. And that is something that I don't want to change. That is not something that I want to ignore. Like, you get to be who you are, but I also get to stand in my power and decide that I'm worth more and that I'm going to live the life that I want. And I'm going to find the people to support me. And whether it's you or it's not, like, I'm not going to lose the person that I'm becoming to fit your mold. So that is something that happens a lot and it keeps coming up over and over. It happens in my life again. And I have moments where I go back and I'm just, I'm like, well, they're just who they are. And we have to accept them for that. And my daughter's reminder was a great reminder. Like, it does not make it okay. It does not make it okay that your 80-year-old grandmother still gets to tell you every time you walk in the house how she doesn't like what you're doing and she thinks your life choices are bad and that this is going to happen if you don't follow her way or whatever, if you don't marry who she thinks you need to marry. Like, that's not okay. It's okay if she chooses to say that, but it's also okay for you to say, I love you, Grandma, but I'm no longer going to be around this type of behavior. Like, you're going to respect me and my position. So just remember that as you're going into family events, like, ask yourself those questions and see how you can show up in your complete power without worrying about the judgment of other people. So thanks for listening.